Alex Vaughn, Gittin Jr., Forrest Wang trying to not let him get away. Snappy initiation there by Gittin, but look at Wang falling behind now and now having to cut the line. Vaughn, Gittin Jr., the professional front haver.
Growing up, my parents, I didn't get things given to me. I had an allotment of $30 for the tennis shoes that I wanted every year for school, and if I wanted better shoes, I had to get the money to afford them and put them on my feet. And that mindset of always working for what you want, that was instilled in me by all of my parents, was something that stays very true and has given me the mindset that I have. Fast forward a few years from Wendy's, I graduated high school. It was time to, follow the traditional path of going to college. And so I went to college for a year and a half for computer science and realized I really did not like math or English or science. And basically, I just wanted to make enough money to support my drug habit of cars. And so what I ended up doing was going to this place called the Test Center and getting Microsoft certified. There was all these ads on the radio at this time. It was 1998, 20 years ago, and make $75,000 a year being Microsoft certified. And I was good at computers, and so that's what I went and did. And that was effectively, launched me into this world of IT. So fresh out of being Microsoft certified, I landed a job with a company that designs and installs wireless networks. And very quickly, I became a key player at that company, traveling around, basically bringing in internet to communities and dispersing that internet around those communities. And we ended up having a job where I was setting up a simple network between two offices. And the guy who was running that company, it was called Nathan Associates in Arlington, Virginia, asked me if I wanted a job. And so I left the wireless networking company to become a network administrator. And a few years later, the executives of that company actually gave me, the guy who hired me, gave me his job. And so I was about 21 years old, running this couple $100 million a year economic consulting firm, running all of their IT infrastructure. And I had one guy under me, and I was making really good money. But all I did with that money was pay for my house and do car stuff. And, that went on until, 2007. And through those years, Formula Drift started in 2004. And those early years were me leaving work early, flying home on a red eye, landing, taking a shower, driving to work on Monday for Formula Drift weekends. And it got to a point where I just felt I was, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I had my passion on one side and this very comfy IT job on the other side. And I just had to chase my passion. And for me, the deciding factor was, if this doesn't work, I still have my brain. So I went for it, quit my job, and never looked back since. It was definitely a very tough decision. I obviously had played it safe, right? 2004 to 2007, from, running my own program to driving for a team. Even though I wasn't getting paid, I started to see some opportunity trickling in. I had a really good setup with the team I was driving for in the Mustang originally. And the way that I had it structured, I saw that if I spent the time, that I could bring the revenue. And even if I didn't make as much as I was in IT, I was doing something that I loved. It wasn't a job. So I kind of had a plan in my mind, but it wasn't by no means like this very extravagant, built out multi-year plan. It was just like, I'm doing this. This is gonna be my approach and how I'm gonna be different than everybody else, and went for it. When I promised myself that I was gonna dedicate my time and chase this passion, immediately when I quit my job, it became my life. It was all I thought about. It was all I wanted to do. And now I had this, extra time from what I had previously working a real life job and, drifting, to really focus and strategize. And, I had already been in the Ford Mustang since 2005. And since the moment I got in the Ford Mustang, I was beating on Ford's door. Just so happens that in parallel, I was also beating and banging on Monster Energy's door from probably 2007, 2008. And then I got my first deal with them at the end of 2009, starting the 2010 season. So my 2010 season, I just brought on Ford for real. I just brought on Monster, and I was flying high. We debuted the Monster program and the new livery of the car at Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. And that year was, I was just feeling great. The team was killing it. We had everything was there. And we pulled out one of still the most dominant seasons in history for any team. We had 6 out of 7 podiums, wrapped up the championship at Irwindale. And it was really just a fairy tale year, and I think the fact that it's 2018 right now and no one has matched that yet shows what a fairy tale it was. But it was that was very incredible. And for me, really, that year was probably one of the first real payoffs. It takes a lot to build this and get the infrastructure around you of partners and team. And not that I ever didn't believe, but it just gave me an extra kick to just keep going. And, that really cemented that anything is possible with passion and commitment.
Before practice becomes game time, drivers are fighting to push for that edge to squeeze every little advantage out possible. But sometimes things go awry and something terrible happens. Vaughn Gittin Jr. experiences a malfunction in his vehicle and heads headfirst in the concrete barricade. Thankfully, Vaughn had the wherewithal and the experience to turn the car around and save himself from what could have been a much worse outcome. Although Vaughn is out of competition, he is perfectly unharmed and safe. A sensational moment reminds us that anything can and usually will happen.
So going out in practice, everything was great. We're going through our normal sweep of suspension and getting dialed for battles tonight. And when I left the line, chasing Pat in practice, car had a little bit of a misfire. We've had it happen a couple times, and it's a lot from sitting and waiting in line and loading up. So I just stayed in it and thinking it was going to clear. Coming out of turn 1, it felt a little bit better, but still a little breakup. And then when I went to flick it into clip 2 and jump on the throttle, it just kind of fell on its face and didn't have what I needed to pull me the other way. So as soon as I saw the car, I knew I was going in the wall. So I think, like all careers, there's been some extremely high points and some very, low points. And for me, I look back at 2004 as one of the high points, right? The first year of Formula Drift, and I literally remember sitting up on the top of the line at Road Atlanta in the car that I built in my garage that I open trailered there, looking down at this long straightaway, trying to figure out how I was going to enter the turn. I'd never pulled the handbrake ever up until that point. And, that first Formula Drift event, battling Forsberg for the, in the quarterfinals, that was a real high for me. It was a very unique new thing, and there was just so much excitement around it from me personally and everybody, and it just confirmed that, man, this is what I want to do. And then that brings us to 2018, which to date has been my worst season on paper ever I ever even envisioned. And understanding why it's happening and having the courage and ability to be confident in making the changes to get back to the success that you should have. So, I think in general, it's very important to have the highs and lows. It's very important to be able to be confident and know that you're able to achieve it, but it's something very humbling about the fall to the bottom before that inevitable rise back to the top. It gives an interesting perspective. Without being too cocky, I am one of the most successful drivers in Formula Drift history from a track record to standing on podiums to earning a championship and on the commercial side, right? I've made this work, and technically, if I was done, I could hold my head up high, see you later, and move on to the next thing. In the coming years, I'm definitely continuing my focus on some of the other business initiatives that I have going on. RTR is doing phenomenal. Obviously, we brought on Chelsea DeNofa as a teammate. I, without a doubt, will always have some sort of interest in Formula Drift, whether I'm behind the wheel or not. But at least for the few next 2-3 foreseeable years, I see myself continuing to compete in Formula Drift. I've been doing about 25 to 30 events a year. I do see myself scaling back here shortly. I have a son on the way, which I'm really excited about. And I've also, started doing some other racing in Ultra 4 and playing in the dirt a bit. So I'm prioritizing right now where my time's going to be spent. But for the next couple years, for sure, I do see myself staying in Formula Drift for the next few years, as long as it stays as fun as it is, as long as my competitors and the competitive teams keep pushing the envelope and keep giving myself and my team a challenge to show up to. It's amazing and very fulfilling. I think there's some real big takeaways that I have from some of the decisions that I've made. And I think to an extent, growing up, I was a fan of baseball and other sports and watching other athletes and always dreaming of wanting to do that. And I think that everybody, including myself, we make this look like a dream and this unbelievable, only positive thing. And it is a dream. But I think it's important for people to know that there is nothing in the world that is worth anything that won't be the biggest struggle as well. And that won't have those downsides that will bring you to the brink of shedding tears and questioning yourself. And I think that it's very important before you make a big decision, like I did, quitting a cushy job that could have took care of me and my family for the rest of my life, that to your core that you're doing it because of who you are, not because of the things that you think or you see it earning for other people. Because in the end, it's what you're doing which is the fulfilling. It is not the material things that you might think or believe that are the end results of that. So chase the passion. It will always win.